Hey, Jonathan, how you feeling?
Um, better, better. I'm gonna hang on mute. Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, no worries.
All right, thanks.
Hey, James. Hey, how's it going? Hey. Hello. Hello. Hey. Hello. Hello. Hey. I was waiting for Louis. I believe he's going to be on the call. He should be. We were just on another call, Kurt, working on that Every stuff, so we just got off. Yeah. Hello. All right, so I will share some of the new updates with the workbooks and stuff, and I think new process that I'm working on. And again, with Stephanie being out last week wasn't ideal, but I'm also going to be out Thursday this week or after Thursday this week, so wasn't ideal all around. But I'll talk to Stephanie and show her this process as well. Hi, Guillermo. Um, so let's walk through the new like month end process, and then we'll circle back around to the forecast. So this is the workbook. This is gonna be the new global gaming workbook. When once month end is done, we're gonna refresh this. this is all just BPC pools and the same familiar stuff with every and basically copying and pasting the stuff from corporate KPIs into here, and it all flows through. So, anyone notices anything weird with this month end, please let Jonathan know and just copy me, and I'll fix it when I get back. But the real new aspect is going to be these walkdowns. This is what Stephanie wants. This is replacing some of the other bridge that we had before, right? That had game sales and excuse me, game sales and recurring revenue and other and all that kind of stuff. This is a new sort of walkdown that we're going to go with, and this will be both for the forecast or RNO deck, let's say, and in our actuals. So I'll just show everyone how this sort of works. The main bridge you can see is down below, but essentially we put in our variances here, right? So here's our variance. You put in the total amount, and then how much is timing, how much is permanent. So this would be for game sales, and they should all be linked on directly to like your product tab here that shows your terminal sales, revenue, cost, gross profit, all that. So I've added some more detail for each of the regions as well. And what's going to happen is after we have, like, let's say the prelim load, we'll refresh this workbook, we'll save it out in an area in Teams, share the link, and everyone can basically view their workbook and then start working on their walkdowns. And then once everyone's done with their walkdowns, we compile it. But okay, so sorry, back to this. Game sales, we put in our drivers with variances, how much is timing, how much is permanent, that'll flow down. Then here's also the EBITDA difference. I've also added the units and install base area. So the install base would go down here, units, variances up here, but I've hidden that for now. I don't think for month end we need to fill that out. But I have it there just in case she wants to see that movement. Timing, permanent, same thing with EBITDA, recurring revenue. This is basically all going to go through EBITDA, right? But we got timing, permanent on each of that. We got systems on the product side, systems on the service side, and then everything else. So that would be like your, I guess, Reno airport stuff, or here would be your parts and STL and IP and that kind of stuff. And then all of that will flow through here. So here's your revenue flow through. Once you fill this out, it should flow through down below here. Whatever you say the EBITDA impact's going to be will flow through here. And then you add in your gross profit, right? So this would be your indirect costs for the product side or service side, right? So like your chargebacks, PPV, obsolescence, that kind of stuff that's impacting your gross profit. And I think the idea here, sorry, I'll continue from there. Gross profit, and then here's your OPEX. That'll be your SG&A, R&D stuff. Excuse me. And I've already linked in bad debt, which you can offer more, I guess, commentary if you want. And then here's just your checks as well. So if, we expect, bad debt's going to be all timing or permanent, you put that in there. Basically all the checks should equal 0, right? So it's going to add in what everything should be. So you have $900,000 left to account for basically up here. And then the idea is that this should basically match your P&L view, right? So right here, all this P&L stuff should match up. So $6.9 million in revenue, $3.5 million in GP, and your OPEX, right? $3.4 million. And so your EBITDA should then match up as well. Any questions on this walk down?
Quick question. do the different colors mean something? Green and the red?
Yeah, sorry. The green is supposed to be like a positive impact. So I would say if this net was a positive variance, it'd be green. I haven't conditionally formatted any of this. I apologize, but I think that's the idea behind the colors there.
Okay. And the drivers in column G is basically the name. Should we add some commentary to it in more details, or should
Yeah. So if you have like a specific region for you, Georg, right? If there was like, let's say a specific country or a deal or something, you would put that in here.
Okay. And should we put in additional commentary somewhere else, or should this be really
That should get to the gist of it. If you want to put in additional commentary, feel free to just do it on the side.
Okay. Okay, and then down below where you showed the gross profit, that's then basically like the cost of sales or cost of service impacts.
Correct. Yep. So anything else that doesn't flow through your revenue flow through, right? So your revenue flow through should include. Excuse me, my throat is killing me right now. Your revenue flow through should include like all of this stuff, right? Up here on the product side, your direct costs, but that would be like the stuff down here with your operating costs, or your service costs down here, right, with your payroll and outside services and the rest of that.
Okay.
And so now for each of the regions too, I've broken out between service. This is more traditional, I would say, of how we used to look at the business, right? I know for cost, we sort of just combined all the functional areas, but honestly, I don't think that really tells a true story, right? So I separate out SG&A and R&D as well. And again, for this walk down, like DNA isn't going to be a driver. She might ask for you to look at it, but really it should just be a combination of the DMCs and chargebacks, right? That is impacting your P&L here. So, any other questions, or we okay with that?
Basically, want to make changes first in BPC and then put the drivers in, or we can.
I'm sorry, Louis. Go ahead. You can say it again.
This is just going to pick up changes that are actually in BPC, right? That's why you have it connected to P&Ls.
Correct. Yeah. So this will be for the month end, which is obviously more traditional of how we've done month end, right? So this will just pick up what's in BPC actually, and then everyone will do their walk downs. I'll compile it into the main view, right? Basically taking drivers from everyone, and then I'll probably do our own like OpEx look, because our SG&A and R&D, at least at the consolidated level, is going to be perhaps materially different than everyone else if we look at the regions, right? Because we got the synergies and adjustments and all that live at a consolidated level as well. But yes,
And this lives out on the SharePoint somewhere.
Once I can add this copy out there if people just want to take a look at it. I have it, I believe, prepared already looking at March. So obviously we don't have any March actuals. So this will be refreshed once March comes around, and I've shown Jonathan how to refresh the other workbook, which is basically the same thing as this. Only difference being that these walkdowns will have to be put in by you guys. And I have every walkdown as well here. So this might be a little more funky, Louis, because obviously some of this unit stuff, not that you have to put this in again, but if you look at some of Every's P&Ls and stuff, maybe there's got to be some sort of manual components. I haven't refreshed this. I would imagine, I think 2025 is now updated, right? So this should take care of itself now. But so you can see here. Yeah.
Can you send this file just as an email to me so that I can already before month end?
Yeah, absolutely. I will tell you what. I will save a copy of this out there in Teams,
Yeah.
And I just encourage everyone to just download a copy for themselves. And if you guys want to, even delete all the other regions, because this can get pretty lengthy, right? So if you want to just keep, like, let's say APAC, just keep only APAC. You can delete the rest of the tabs and maybe just keep like your like KPI tab as well. All I do is copy and paste right from corporate's thing right in here, paste over it, and it flows through. And I sort of encourage everyone to sort of do that. And if you guys don't want to wait for Jonathan or I or whatever, you guys can refresh and start working on your lockdowns earlier. And then just sort of like paste it into a copy or send it to us, and I'll compile it. I have to talk to Stephanie how she exactly wants the process to go. Update a certain file, or you guys can just send it to us. I'm okay with either way, but I'll go ahead and make a copy and send that out.
Does this replace the commentary in the PowerPoint, or?
So some of the month-end stuff will still need to be updated, but in terms of that first sort of page that for all the regions, that first walk down with the timing and permanent stuff, this is going to this part right here. This will replace that bridge. Maybe a couple more commentary on the side, but for the most part, I think this should address a lot of the commentary. But maybe she'll want some extra commentary on some of the additional items down here, or maybe more items up here. But for the most part, you should be able to just use what you've put up here.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So,
Kurt, one question. What are we doing from like a weekly RNO perspective? We haven't addressed that yet.
yeah, so I put out the RNO this week because, again, since Stephanie's out, I don't exactly know, and we have a copy scheduled for Thursday, which a review for Hector will actually be Thursday morning, so it'll be before the copy even happens, which means we probably have to have everything in by Wednesday, and this is, from what Mary told me, only a Q1 look, and February actuals got loaded in the system, so it's really just messing with March and getting Q1 to where we think it's going to be.
Okay.
So I still have the RNO doc out there. I encourage everyone to go ahead and look at that. This will be, from a forecast perspective, the new deck as well. I'm going to do a similar thing with this deck, where I'm going to refresh this. I guess in this case I'll have to refresh it before Thursday, but I'll definitely have like a version after the copied version is complete, right? So I guess it was at week 12 this week. So let's say I refresh this, let's say Wednesday. If everyone has their changes in by then, I'll get the KPIs in here. Again, everything's the same, and then we just have the lockdowns again. These lockdowns shouldn't change, and I apologize. I have this global gaming lockdown. We just did one the other day, or I included some of the stuff for North America, but I'm going to assume some of this changes. But same sort of deal. This one's a little more like full year, right? So Q1 to Q4, or full year, Q4 and full year. We got EBITDA. So instead of timing and permanent, we just have more of the full year look. And then, of course, units, install base also here. And this should all be linked. Again, if this is wrong, please let me know. I'll relink it or fix it for you guys. The same deal, product, service, other. Here's your revenue, gross profit, OPEX. So feel free to change any of that. I got the lockdowns for all the other regions here too. My idea, and you guys let me know if you disagree, is I want for everyone to just say, hey, I'm done with my changes in the forecast. Again, I can save this as well out there, and you guys can refresh it at your own pace if need be, or I can refresh it for you, and you guys can work on your walkdowns and just sort of be like, hey Steph, I'm done with my walkdown, this is the changes we made, right? This is where we're at. I think this is a more accurate look, in my opinion, right, than looking at the RNO, because of, again, all the synergies and corporate stuff. Like this theoretically should capture all of that, right, because it's coming right out of BPC instead of our manual like RNO file. In my mind, the RNO file we can still have for mainly like watch list items, right? Stuff that's not in the system, which is what it I think should have intended to be.
Yeah.
But then everything that's in the system, we don't have to worry about tying out or anything because it will be tied out, right? It's in the system. I refresh it here. And so maybe for this week, if you guys want to make changes in the system and then just an RNO doc, tie the RNO document to whatever you have in the system using this, I think that's fine. I'm trying to get away from that because I know that that's basically just double work, right? So, but I got to try to sell Stephanie on it. So my goal is to hopefully make everyone's lives easier. Again, I apologize if I don't do that successfully, but she wants this type of lockdown look, and I thought, well, if we're going to be doing this and, get away from, last time we were doing this lockdown, it's like if these things don't tie and I'm using the RNO doc for certain information inputs, I'm like, well, forget it. Let's just have it tied directly to the to BPC. All the regions can fill in their own lockdowns. That'll be tied to BPC, and then we should have a more seamless process here. Is the idea. So I hope that answers some of your question, James. I know there's still a lot up in the air, but essentially, what I would say is just put it in the system, and then as a backup, maybe for this week, you guys can just sort of put in stuff in the RNO to tie to what you have in the system.
Yeah, I don't have many changes. I just have one on systems. I gotta switch a few things around. That's all.
Okay, yeah, and like I said, I hope it's not as bad because it is just a Q1 focus. And I apologize to all the other teams too. I can send what the previous lockdown was, but again, that was only at global gaming level. I didn't have the detail really for like every single region, right? I had some for North America because they had quite a bit of inputs there, but as for the rest of the regions, we sort of like combined a lot of the info and when I did that lockdown. So hopefully from now on, we can just maintain these lockdowns and I'll just keep it sort of in the file, right? And then obviously, since everything's against budget, we should just be adjusting those inputs here and there as the year goes on.
Hey, Kurt, do we know if we are going to compare Q1 right with March versus budget or versus?
For month end,
yeah.
month end, it should be. I would assume against budget again.
Okay, no, it's not going to be with versus the forecast that is going to be copied on Thursday.
I think the main compare will still be against budget. We hid that middle compare that was against forecast because of all the weird timing stuff with the forecast stuff. We just wanted it out, but maybe there's some commentary against that this coming forecast. I don't know, but I think the main compare will still be against budget.
Okay, so the intention is to, we are not going to have the error nodes in the middle, right? In the middle of the new forecast. The error node, we are not going to fill the error node. That's the intention, correct?
I'm sorry, could you, I don't know.
We are not going to use the error nodes, right? That's the intention of this file.
My goal is to not have the RNO in the future except for watch list items, but that being said, I still need Stephanie to give the official sign off. So I'm going to pitch this to her tomorrow. I'll let the team know. But that's why I recommend, get your changes in the system. I can, you guys can refresh this. I'll send this out and you guys can, again, just refresh your guys' section, delete everything else if you don't want it. Have a copy of it and then start working on your lockdowns. And then if Stephanie still wants that RNO doc, at least for this week, then you guys can update the RNO document with, basically, you should have the information in here to fill in your RNO with your changes, right? So.
Two things. I know the focus is Q1, but no issue for us to update the other quarters, right? Like Q2 and all that, right?
No, there shouldn't be a problem, no.
Okay. And then secondly, from a cadence perspective, let's take, for example, RNOs or payroll data that's being updated by corporate for forecast.
Mhm.
They're all working to the same timeline too, right?
Yeah, no, I believe so, Kelvin. But again, it's like, it makes no sense. I don't know why we're doing reviews for the forecast before the forecast is even copied over. Because, even my experience with corporate is like they're working on synergies and adjustments and stuff until before they actually copy it over, right?
Yeah.
So even what I'm reviewing with like the lockdowns and stuff doesn't even have the final like adjustments, and stuff like that. So
I see. No, because the only reason I raised this was in the past, if we did that when we updated RNO spreadsheets, right? We typically did that first, then we updated BPC, right?
yeah,
And then let's take R&D, and we're not expecting anything, and we just update that. But because this is going to be like live linked to BPC, if for example, the rest work off a different timeline and they make the adjustments very late, then it'll just suddenly pop up. So because of time zones and all that, I may have done all my stuff, and then if it's refresh, may just pop up and suddenly the numbers change a bit, and then it may or may not jive with commentary, or there's no commentary at all because actually we weren't expecting it.
Yeah,
so
sure.
That's why I'm just wondering.
Yeah, no doubt. I think this will better show that though. At least if I refresh it and I see like, hey, we now got like some of these checks are now showing up. Let's say like in APAC, right? If there's a check that showed up, especially for like down here in the OPEX section, I'll be like, okay, well that's probably R&D, right? So
yeah, or it could be payroll or anything like that. SG&A
right. So at least we can like better account for it now. At least I can just address it in the roll up situation. I know it's usually it's not something super material. If we need to call it out, then just let me know. But obviously, like we do the best we can with the timeline that we're given. So try to get to the meat and potatoes of it all. And if something does change, which it absolutely will, we'll just have to address it at a later date.
Okay. No, I mean it'd be great if they also have. We all know exactly, including them, the exact deadline, like hard stop. Like we're gonna refresh this file then.
Yeah.
And everyone else, including the rest, chargebacks or allocations, anything, just follow the same timeline. Yeah.
I agree. Okay. I agree. Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Good.
Yep. Well, if everyone's good with that, I'd like to roll this out again. I'll save a copy of these just for everyone's, viewing, and you guys can save a copy for yourselves, and just have one for your region if you want to do that. Again, I try to include more detail here, so we have our traditional sort of look at service and product and SG&A and R&D. So everyone should have a more comprehensive view of what's going on in the region. Obviously, you guys can still do some ad hoc stuff if you need, but this will at least give you more of like the GP, right? The direct costs and your indirects, and so at least Stephanie also can see it, right? When you guys are talking about indirect costs and stuff like that, you guys can point to where, what you're talking about. So I'll save it all out there. Let me know. Again, I think just let us know when you guys are done with your forecast, if you guys are good with any adjustments you guys have. Maybe I'll refresh that sort of checklist file as well. You guys can just check that off. And then when done, I will refresh this document. Hopefully, if everyone's done, that by the time Stephanie wants, it'll probably be sometime Wednesday. Then we can get the lockdowns, and I can finish up the global gaming lockdown for Q1, at least. So
Kurt, in terms of timing, when we should have these wall downs completed for this week on
I would
Thursday
say
or Wednesday?
Yeah, I would say Wednesday if possible, because then I gotta roll it up, and Stephanie's gotta basically send it to Hector or whatever sometime Wednesday. So the earlier the better on Wednesday, if everyone could be done with their Q1 sort of changes or walk. Hopefully there's not too much material in March, but I understand February just got loaded in, so maybe that changes some things.
Okay.
Okay. so I'll send this all out. I'll get the checklist updated. If everyone could just let me know when they're done with their areas, and then we'll go from there. If you guys want to work on the walk down, probably in your own file, or I can save an updated version out there on Wednesday when everyone's done. You guys can just copy and paste it over into your respective areas, and then we'll go from there. Louis James, obviously, with every, let me know if there's anything funky going on there, because I know some of that's still manual, especially with the units and install base not really being in VPC, so we can work together on that when it comes to that.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.